Welcome to Let's Bet. I'm your host, Scott Pritchard. Let's Bet is about sports betting, sides, totals, money lines. I've been betting sports professionally full-time in Las Vegas for 30 years. I'm going to show you how I do it. Joining me, as always, my co-host, a man who can't wait for the Vegas Video Network VIP party Friday Rum Bar Mirage, Jacob Cannon.
Is this show over? I gotta go.
Based on that reaction, knowing that I'm a one-man show, I don't drink, but I'm thinking about starting. I hope to check back with Jacob a little bit later on in the show. To reach out to us, a couple of things that you can do. Email us at letsbet@vegasvideonetwork.com. That's letsbet@vegasvideonetwork.com. We also have a toll-free listener line, 866-966-4599. Comments, questions, 866-966-4599. Now let's get started. Last week, college football, Thundering Herd of Marshall on the road taking on the Mountaineers of West Virginia. Jacob laid the 23 points. I liked over 54. Over 14 minutes to go in the game. It's 34-13. West Virginia up. Jacob looking good and feeling good. I am looking even better knowing that one touchdown and my total is there. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. How many ways can you find to lose or have no play? Over 14 minutes to go in the game, some rain or lightning takes place, and they call the game. No bet, no action. Now, in the record books, it shows that West Virginia won the game 34-13, but from a sports betting standpoint, which is all we care about in Las Vegas, is did you cash the ticket? Did you win money? The rule is in football, the game has to go 55 minutes or it's no play. So with well over 14 minutes to go in the contest, they didn't play the fourth quarter. The game was called. So Jacob and I, 5-1 ATS against the spread. Jacob, perfect 3-0. I'm 2-1. Well on our way to being 7-1, but never mind that. No action. The West Virginia Marshall football game. That was then. This is now pro football opening weekend this weekend. I'm excited. That's executive producer Scott Whitney. I think he's drinking a little bit. Little pregame action, little tailgate party here in the studio before the Rum Bar Mirage action for the Vegas Video Network VIP party. But I will say that Thursday night, what a great game. The very first game between the last two defending Super Bowl champions, Saints versus the Packers. 42-34, final score came down to the very last play. Packers won the game by 8. They covered. Line was 3.5 to 5. The total 41.5 shattered the over. It was there by halftime. Sunday, one game that we're really looking at, big AFC conference battle between the Pittsburgh Steelers traveling to the Baltimore Ravens. Baltimore favored by 1.5, total 36.5. Jacob, who do you like?
Well, I had to come back to my seat when my producer told me, I think he said I was number one. He pointed up one of these fingers. I don't remember which. The Ravens had this game circled since last year, being booted out of playoffs. They're 3-0 straight up and against the spread in season openers. But Pittsburgh is 6-2 in the last 8 games. It's a tough one, but on this one, I say the Raven quote, nevermore. I'm taking the Baltimore Ravens.
To recap Jacob's play, he likes the home team Ravens minus the 1.5 as they host the Pittsburgh Steelers. Before we get to my selection, let's preview how these two teams match up with one another. First of all, the traveling Pittsburgh Steelers. We're talking about a team that made it to the Super Bowl before losing as a small dog to the Green Bay Packers. Now, history has shown a team that loses the Super Bowl for whatever reason. I don't know how much merit, how much stock I put into this number, but I have to share it with you. Statistics clearly show the Super Bowl loser, the first game the following year, ATS against the spread, they're terrible. So that's just something to keep in mind. But the good news for the Pittsburgh Steelers, they have talent. They can run, they can pass, they're well coached, they play good sound defense, and when they match up with the Baltimore Ravens, the Steelers are very good at getting pressure to the quarterback, Joe Flacco. Their pass defense, rush defense particularly, make that the pass defense getting pressure to the quarterback, is simply outstanding. Now let's talk about the Baltimore Ravens. They're at home, they're hungry, they're pissed. These two teams do not like each other. The Ravens last year won in Pittsburgh, and then Baltimore lost at home to the Steelers. In the playoffs, it was 21-7 Baltimore, second quarter only to lose 31-24. We know the rest of the story. The Steelers went on to lose in the Super Bowl to the Green Bay Packers. The Ravens, like Pittsburgh, they can run, they can pass, they play very good defense. They're hungry, they're focused, they have the talent. The thing you want to look at, I think Joe Flacco, the quarterback, is the wild card in this matchup. Now, Flacco, last year, very good year, 25 touchdown passes, only 10 INTs. He passed for 3,622 yards. I didn't make that number up. It's right here. Sports bettors, so we all can relate. If it involves money, you retain information. I can't remember to take out the garbage, but I can tell you how many passing yards Joe Flacco had last year. He also completed 63% of his passes from 1 year ago. My play, I like the Baltimore Ravens at home. I hesitate to piggyback and go with my friend Jacob, but we're on the same side, which is kind of a scary situation. Baltimore Ravens minus the 1.5 based on the fact that they're at home, they're hungry, and knowing that how these two teams match up. I think the 1.5 is cheap. One thing I will say, friends, if you can, 1.5 is readily available right now. It's 1.5 to 2. If you can steal a 1, the line was 2.5 to 3. The money is coming in on Pittsburgh, but again, we're not afraid to buck the system, buck the trend, be an independent thinker. But if you can steal a 1 on this game, I project a low-scoring contest, 2019, 17-16, 24-23. If that should happen, you want to have that hook in your back pocket. So if you can lay 1 instead of 1.5, I would advise you to do so. Today, at Press Time Live, Vegas Video Network, the number is 1.5. That's what we're laying. That's what we're going on record with. That's going to wrap up this edition of the first part of the first segment of Let's Bet. We're going to, before we get to Let's Bet answers your questions, we're going to take a station ID break. We'll be right back.
Hey, I'm Al, man. Is that how you get them to do that all the time? Just sit there and be an ass. Is that it? Hey, I'm Al. Hey, I'm Al Mancini at Top of the Food Chain. You are watching the Vegas Video Network. We got big forks, big spoons. I got a big mouth. I got no guests.
Welcome back to another segment that I will try to ad-lib through. It's time now for Let's Bet answers your questions. Now, this is where we take questions, comments off the listener line, 866-966-4599, or questions, comments from the email, letsbet@vegasvideonetwork.com. Keep those questions and comments coming. Jacob, what do we have?
First question is from live chat from Jacob. He wants to know if it's time to go to Rum Bar.
Jacob, Rum Bar. It's never a bad idea to go to the Rum Bar at the Mirage. I don't drink, but as I say, I'm thinking about starting based on how this show is going.
I think I'll take Pritchard plus 1 margarita.
I am a cheap date in that regard.
First question here is from Mike from Virginia. He says, with Peyton Manning out indefinitely, should the trend be betting under on the Colts?
I think the thing you want to look at there with Peyton Manning, the star player of the Indianapolis Colts, being out, he's not out indefinitely. It looks like he's out for 2 to 3 months now. That just came across. So as far as the Colts go, you might lend itself to betting the under. I think that's common knowledge. I think the odds makers know this, and they will shade it one way or the other. I know on the side, for instance, the Houston Texans, a very high-scoring team in that division, big conference battle between those two teams. Initially in the summer, a couple of months ago, the line opened 1.5. 1.5 Texans at home. It's been bet up to 8, 8.5, 9. So obviously the odds makers are on top of this. Now in regards to the total, the one thing that concerns me, if you like the under, which I respect, I think you said the gentleman's name is Mike from Virginia. The one thing I would say, Mike, is please understand that with the under, I understand where there might be some perceived value, but the concern is with the backup quarterback, forcing the ball, turnovers lead to points when you press. So just something to keep in mind. I hate turnovers. I hate cheap points unless, of course, I bet the over. But I generally bet under long term. Next.
Great. Next question is from John in San Francisco. He wants to know how will kickoffs, the kickoffs being moved up affect totals this year? Will we see lower scoring games?
Well, again, I think the odds makers, I would take it from a week in, week out basis, because if you see a specific trend based on the new rule changes with the kickoffs to where they're trying to negate serious injuries, because players today are bigger, faster, stronger, and going at a high level speed, wide open, running 60 yards, and bam, you hit a guy. I mean, really, I think maybe we should just start playing flag football or maybe two-hand touch. I mean, I'm still annoyed, okay? I'm still annoyed over the weather. They call the game because of lightning. I mean, really? So if the wind starts to blow and there's a tornado, oh, let's call the game because Scott bet the over? I'm tired of it. Do we have anything else? Enough about me. This is about everyone else.
Yeah, you're scaring me a little bit, fella. You're like a hurricane over there to yourself. Last question here from the live chat. Nick wants to know, with Chris Johnson re-sign his contract, but with a new quarterback in, Matt Hasselbeck for the Tennessee Titans, should the Titans be an under team this year? Last question.
I think the Tennessee Titans, I mean, again, this is a team that isn't that far removed from really playing good football 3 years ago. Now, they have a different coach. I mean, Fisher is gone, but the quarterback situation, Matt Hasselbeck, come on now. He led the Seattle Seahawks years ago. He's a wily veteran. He's not the same guy he was when he led the Seahawks to a Super Bowl loss to the Pittsburgh Steelers a few years ago. Chris Johnson is an animal. He's a stud. Their offensive line pretty competitive. I really feel with Peyton Manning being gone now for 2 to 3 months, the Houston Texans and the Tennessee Titans will probably battle it out in that division. I think there's more value betting over with the Tennessee Titans than betting under. Chris Johnson is dialed in. Matt Hasselbeck, again, is proven. Again, I go with proven winners more than anything else, as opposed to a rookie coming into the league. He's flashy. He's signed a big, fat contract. I'll take experience every day of the week, and especially on Sunday. Sunday, of course, is when the big games are played. So that's going to wrap up this edition of Let's Bet. For executive producer Scott Whitney, Jacob Cannon, I'm Scott Pritchard. Great to have you with us every Friday morning live, 11 o'clock Las Vegas time. All the great shows on the Vegas Video Network you can check out. Rebroadcast on KSHP Radio, AM 1400, every Friday with one exception, one time. Not tonight. I think the whole world has been put on hold for this VIP party at Mirage Rum Bar. We hope to see you there. Jacob, do you have any final comments?
Last comments from me, just really quick. Number one, I can't believe it's not Rum Bar time yet. Number two, everybody, thanks for liking the Vegas Video Network Facebook page. Amber, Carl, John, Bobby, all you guys, thanks.
Jacob, always great having you with us. Tune in every Friday morning, 11 o'clock Las Vegas time, and keep those questions and comments coming. 866-966-4599. That's 866-966-4599. Email us at letsbet@vegasvideonetwork.com. That's letsbet@vegasvideonetwork.com. My website is pritchardspicks.com. That's pritchardspicks.com. One thing I would like to say in closing, friends, and Scott Whitney and Jacob Cannon. I'm hitting the road. Big guy. I've had enough. I don't drink, but if I'm too hungover, I'm still going to the San Diego Chargers Vikings game Sunday, leaving Sunday morning. Game is sold out. Looking forward to the big contest. I expect the Chargers to open up a can of whoop ass as they stick it to the Minnesota Vikings. So I'll be thinking of you gentlemen while I'm there. Thanks for tuning in. We'll catch you next week.